Hey there, everyone. It's Gigi's Sober Son. Just one of the few areas around here that you can drive right up to the ocean, right up to the Gulf of Mexico. August 10th. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered, give you a little something better to look at here. We have discovered a common solution. We who have found this solution to our alcoholic problem, who are properly armed with the facts about ourselves, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic. We who are making the approach to new prospects have had the same difficulty they have had. We obviously know what we are talking about. Our whole deportment shouts at new prospects that we are people with a real answer. Am I a person with the real answer to the alcoholic problem of others? Alcoholic problems of others? And they use the word prospects twice. And that reading, I do believe, is from the big book. I'm not sure exactly where. Maybe Working with Others. Probably the chapter Working with Others. But I think in the chapter more about alcoholism, the story about Jim who puts whiskey in his milk. The reason he was putting whiskey in his milk was he went to I believe it was a tavern that obviously sold alcohol, and sorry about that, and to meet up with or look for prospects for people wanting to buy a car. He was a car salesman. And the word prospect is often used in sales. And so knowing that, I kind of cringe at the idea of using and treating what we do in AA like sales. Like we're selling anybody on anything. That, like, Bill Wilson was a salesman. There's no two ways about it. He was a salesman. Dr. Bob was obviously a doctor. And I believe that the two of them together tempered one another. Whereas, from what I understand, Dr. Bob had cravings until several years into sobriety. He still had actual cravings, or at least obsession of the mind to drink. And from what I understand, it was a lot more gruff and a nice guy. So it says in his book, Dr. Bob and the Good Old Timers. But he had more of a dour deportment. Whereas Bill was your consummate salesperson, from what I understand. A salesman who was big on glad handing and smiles all around kind of thing. And I really relate with that more. But whenever we have a newcomer meeting, and in my home group, when a new person comes into AA, we do what we call a first step meeting, where a couple folks will tell their story, a brief rundown of their story and why they're in AA, and so what typically happens is it starts sounding like sales, like, if you keep coming back, you will have a life beyond your wildest dreams. And now I realize why that made me roll my eyes when I first heard it, because it did sound like sales. It sounded like they were trying to sell me on recovery and to keep coming back, kind of thing. And that's not what we're really about. It may come across like that, but it's not what we're there for. So the notion of prospects, well, like my buddy Waddell says, when the time is right, there's nothing you can say wrong. So you're not trying to convince anybody of anything. And, and if the time is not right, nothing you can say is going to convince them. So why bother? We know our alcoholics. Meditation for the day. For straying from the right way, there is no cure except to keep so close to the thought of God that nothing, no other interest, can seriously come between you and God. Sure of that, you can stay on God's side. Knowing the way, nothing can prevent you your staying in the way, and nothing can cause you to seriously stray from it. God has promised peace if you stay close to Him, but not leisure. You still have to carry on in the world. He has promised heart rest and comfort, but not pleasure in the ordinary sense. Peace and comfort bring real inward happiness. Well, I don't know about comfort, but definitely peace. I can have peace and not be very comfortable. And I think that's what is really important to keep in mind, that what just happened? It's really important to keep that in mind, that when a lot of times when we're sharing from our heart, it's not comfortable, but we can have peace in knowing that, as it says in the doctor's, or not the doctor's opinion, the family afterward, that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession we have. It's the greatest possession. And when we surrender to His will and let Him guide us to what part of our story we should say and share, then we have complete peace. We don't have to get nervous or worried about whether it's going to be used incorrectly. It may be used incorrectly, but we know in our heart that we've said what we were supposed to say. So why should we be frightened? Prayer for the day. I pray that I may keep my feet on the way. I pray that I may stay on God's side. And at the end of the first 164 pages, it says, you'll meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. And a lot of people misread it. They say the road to happy destiny. No, it's the road of happy destiny. Like the happy destiny is the journey. Even though, like, it sounds counterintuitive, actually, now that I'm saying it. The destiny, the happiness is the journey, And our destiny is one day we'll look back and, be able to see that our efforts paid off in countless lives of people who were blessed. I love the movie Death Becomes Her, right? I think it's Meryl Streep and I'm going to forget the other lady's name. Oh, Goldie Hawn. And they somehow get a hold of this eternal elixir, right? That makes them never die, right? But right away after they drink it, they get injured. And Bruce Willis is one of them's husband. I can't remember who, or brother. And he sees what's happening and he just drinks himself crazy kind of thing. But then he eventually gets sober, and it's not real obvious, but then he dies, right? And then they show up, the two women show up, and they're all beat up and haggard, and I mean, they don't look old, they just look like zombies because they've been beat to hell kind of thing, because they fight a lot, and they get hit by a car or fall down stairs or something like that, so they look hideous. And is showing sort of the contrast of a life well lived, or somebody that was constantly trying to hold on to what they had, right? And I can't remember how they portrayed it now, but in the end they showed Bruce Willis's character, and I think they talk about how his legacy will live on for eternity kind of thing, and they're like laughing and cackling, haha, he died when, something like that. I'll have to watch the movie again because it was really good how they portrayed it. But you knew he lived a real life with real impact, and they just basically were so self-centered and so self-focused for their entire lives, especially after they took this elixir, fountain of youth serum or whatever. But anyway, they were constantly patching each other up, but this guy had a great life. He ended up helping a bunch of people and things like that. But anyway, it's a living, loving, learning, growing program. Y'all keep coming back. I love you. Look up, aim up, rise up.